3:30, yeah. I'm back on. And cool. It seems if I mute the stream, no copyright infringement.
They know I got cash, I ain't got a brand no more. I'm playing with the money, I just might go stand the boat. I run through the check, but fuck it, the bag is close. I throw it the bit, fuck it, I had to hold. I made 100,000 in the same clothes. I jump a whole quarter, now my neck froze. Been forever with my team on. Think I'm still trapping, I got 4 niggas that cap for real. Ain't seen a half a mil. My big ass think so real. I was trapping, pay the bills. Money long, need a pickup truck. A lot of hundreds, you can pick them up. Gotta make sure my niggas rich. In the Tesla, but I had to switch. Niggas fraud really counterfeit. Oh, they do it, it was not, but I'm really rich. She be lying, you can trust them. When the money get a check, that shit. Rubber bands all around my wrist. Broke niggas, they ain't talking about shit. I was broke, had to hit that lick. One thing about the rape, I just might go snap the ghost. All in the balls, I ain't got a brand no more. She give me top of the red light. She get a bag of the head right. Cuban links, nigga, iced out. Pick your ring, that's your lighthouse. They know I got cash, I ain't got a brand no more. I'm playing with the money, I just might go snatch a boat. I run through the check, but fuck it, the bag is close. Throw it the big, fuck it, I had to hold. I made 100,000 in the same clothes. I jump a whole quarter, now my neck froze. Been forever with my team, man, the block is hot. My niggas, they trap a lot. My bitch got an ass out. Fucking she tap out. My money don't max out. What is the cap about? You niggas, they cap a lot. I'm dropping the top on spot. She tryna fuck this, she get kicked out. Nigga keep talking, nigga get extra. Mama say don't have my house trapped out. Got a little warm, about to blow back out. Too many songs. Niggas tryna eat, bring no rest.
Do I set the threshold to any value? Nope, not necessarily. I can show you the values I set it to.
This week, it's jumped up to 11th for the year with 36 minutes per game for Kyrie. Played 42 against Philly and 40 against Boston. Jay Kidd said, of course, we want to get those minutes down, but we had so many players unavailable. possible this week while they were out on the road that we just had to play Kyrie Lawrence.
All right, so these are the values I set it to. And actually, if you see, it says here, take profit 0, stop loss 0. So take loss, take profit 0, stop loss 0. These are the settings that give me about 50% win rate. But the condition for exits is close trades on opposite signal. So it takes trades with every signal, right? And that's based on your amplitude, which tells you like the frequency. So you basically set it based on the amplitude, and then so stop loss is dependent on close trade and opposite signal. So based on the same amplitude that it uses to enter the trade, it uses that same amplitude or uses that same degree of amplitude to exit trades. So, yep, this right here is this right here on the right hand side. One second. So this is the faster amplitude. This one on the right is the faster amplitude. And you can, the way you can tell it's the faster amplitude is this takes 1 to 2 trades a day, right? So this black line right here is Bitcoin price movement on Friday. This black line here actually is today's price movement. The only difference is we haven't had any sufficient price movement in either direction to propagate any bar, right? And because you don't have any sufficient price movement to propagate any bar on an offline chart, it's basically gonna price is basically gonna fluctuate between that bar. So if you see the open date, it tells you that the open date was yesterday, 22 hours into it, and it hasn't closed yet because it hasn't went above the range set by the wrinkle candle, and it hasn't went below it either. And then you can always look at TradingView or your MT4 on your phone to confirm it. So if you used to pull it up here, it's basically saying that from yesterday to today, that price movement. So it's basically saying that this morning or yesterday, even when it bounced from 95K, it went all the way up to 96.9K. It's not sufficient to propagate one bar. And you can tell that today we're still within that range, and that's why there's no bars for here today. So that's the advantage of the system. And the other terminal that I have and use for MT4, this one that's loading right here, let's see what happens. This one actually has a higher amplitude. So what that does is you're able to capture moves over the whole day, or 2 days in this case. This was February 4th, and Bitcoin went in a sell after rejecting 103K, went in a sell from 103K all the way into end of day to 96K. And that made the range that we're in for the past 1, 2, 3 days. But if you look at my other terminal, you will see that it took a trade here, it took a trade here, a buy trade here, when it's still in a sell. So I just have to be careful when counter trending trades because I know that I'm already in a higher amplitude sell, that I should just trust in the higher amplitude sell and notice that there's a reversion in the market. But the reason why I like the indicators that I put on yesterday, oh my, yeah, that was crazy. The reason why I like the indicators I put on yesterday, right, is because you can see that price actually does respect well to those pivots. So this is when Bitcoin rejected 103K. That day it told us that there was a 85% chance that it hits the 50th percentile. And then we rejected the 85%, went below the break of the day, went towards the lower 50th percentile, which had a 71% chance of hitting. And then we even hit the 50th percentile, which had, 57% chance of hitting it that day. From there, you kind of have Bitcoin stuck in a range where it's just respecting those 50th percentiles. So of course you'd have to see how price reacts at that 50th percentile before moving forward or rejecting and going lower. So if I use that stats in respect to my strategy, I'll just basically know that at that point we're very, in terms of respect of price and statistics, that we're overbought, so we should expect a downturn. I also have this other indicator, MACD histogram bar, which it catches a downtrend. And when I say it catches the downtrend, that's what I mean. I mean that it spots the first bar that ends the trend, and I get an alert. So based on that, it already helps me on my exits, and I've automated it so I get alerts. I don't have the source code to my robot, so I can't change it or add any extra indicators to mess with it. But if I use this as entries to get out, I typically get out 1 bar faster than the condition that's set by the robot, which is actually close on opposite direction, right? Because for example, if I wasn't watching the chart, or I was busy for the day, or I was sleeping for the day or whatever, and I didn't catch Bitcoin reversal, then this trade likely would have been a break-even trade or resulted in some small loss. You can actually see how it would have turned out by doing this. What is the amount that the bot buys in, for example? Oh, so yep, you can set it to any amount that you want. Because I'm running Bitcoin 24/7, I'm running US 30 Dow Jones, which are big indices. If you look here, Bitcoin is like 100K, US 30 is 40K. Gold futures is almost 3K, right? And I don't even have the capital to even be messing with that. So I just keep it respective. I leave everything the same lot size. And what that does is, in terms of risk, it makes sense. You know, for example, on Friday, I made like 600, 700 bucks on my $100,000 demo account. But if you transfer it to my prop account, it was $60. So just like I was explaining yesterday to Brian, I have another, I have this thing that I use, and it's called Medicopier. What it does is I pay every month for it as well, and what it does is whatever the master account, which is this, whatever the master account does, it copies over to my prop accounts, and I can have, you know, the unlimited amount of accounts that I want. I just have to pay like, 5, 10 bucks a month for it. For example, I pay like 17 bucks a month for this. I think I'm still on the trial, but yeah, I pay. I pay. Yeah, 16 forecasted monthly cost, $16 a month to connect my master account to my slave proprietary trading account. And then what I do is when I set it, obviously the prop account has different rules and whatnot. So I just reduce it, I just reduced the amplifier in this case. Like I was explaining to Brian, it's like on a 1-to-1 scale. So if this was a 3.0 instead of a zero point 0.3, it would have been increased by a factor of three times, right? Whereas since it's in a decimal form, it's actually reduced. And that actually gives me peace of mind because when I go back into my robot and I do all those historical back testing, it tells me over 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it tells me throughout a 6 month period of time, out of the 6 months, it takes 1,000 trades or 2,000 trades. It tells me for 2,000 trades or whatever, right? It tells me my max loss that could potentially happen from a trade, which in this case is like 600 bucks. In this case, it's 600 bucks, right? 664 bucks when I'm using my 50/50 settings. But if I leave it, also potentially I can make $3,000 as my potential maximum trade. And that's because the settings that I'm running the robot at, it's able to filter out the noise in the market and capture pips. You know what I mean? So, for example, here was it was a short. For example, it went down for 3 bars, but if you look at the rest of the day, it went up 10 to 12 bars in the up direction before going down to, you know, sometimes you can't control that. Sometimes you do get caught break even. But what you want to do is keep the profit from these big trailing trades because you already know that the market ranges a certain amount of points a day, or it ranges, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 points. So if you get an entry like this and you get out here and that's 30 points, you know, you basically catch your other points, 30, 40, 50 other points from the down sell. And then by the end of the day, you're crushing your profit targets, etc. just by trading 1 to 2 times a day. Like for example here, this is gold Friday, this is gold Thursday, this is gold Wednesday. Wednesday around 1700, I entered a sell. That sell went into the next day and it didn't close until 10 hours into the next day, right? So there was obviously a lot of downtrend from the end of the day into the next day. and you just would have had to, ride the trend. And in this case, let me show you. And in this case, if you look at where the arrows propagate, this is the difference in the price. Difference in the price is the profit that you keep, right? And so yeah, there's a difference in price here about this amount of distance. So whatever this amount of distance is the amount of profit that you would have got from this downturn. Just relying on the 50-50, just relying on the 50-50 system, right? Where it closes it automatically by itself. Now, like I said, if you look here, it hit the lowest point. It hit the lowest point at 10, 1000, like we said, and it didn't catch that buy trade 39 minutes later. So you literally had 30 minutes to get out. Necessarily don't have to make sure that it's still making the right trades. It's not going to enter a buy when it's a sell opportunity or anything like that. Or even in terms of execution, I don't have any problems with slippage or things like that. It's just if you leave it by itself and you literally don't touch it for 1 to 2 weeks, you will be in profit because even on a day-to-day basis, you're able to get some profit, right? But there's days where the whole day is a buy. For example, here, this whole day was a buy. There's days where the price action in the market doesn't cut the EA. I'm using a server hosted by, I forget their name. I have to figure out the server. Something VPS, and I pay like $60 a month for them. But I don't. I think they just offer like trading infrastructure in terms of like the VPS UI is going to be fast enough to handle like what you're doing. I don't think it's anything crazy or dedicated. I understand what you're saying. So there's no source code. What you have is the expert advisor file. You get there's like 3 files, and I can show you that here. There's this file called half trend, and this is what the amplitude. This is the same amplitude that refers to in the robot settings, but visually, if you look at the chart, it's basically the blue and red arrows, right? And that's why I say I like my system better than any other one that I've came across. And the other ones don't really have as much effort because, like, on top of it being the system, it's actually visually easy to follow. Whereas other people, they just be making bullshit products. But for example, this right here, and it has my email in it, this EA, once you attach it to the metaphoric terminal, you basically access to it. You don't have to mess with the code or anything like that. It's stored. If it was a .mq4l file, that means it contains the source code. but mine is just a .ex4 file, meaning that it's just an expert robot. It's an expert robot that doesn't get that the source code is basically hidden or whatever. But with that being said,
Go 2 for 1. Houston able to slow that down. Launch by Master. Bullseye.
but also with that being said, the person who made the robot made it like very clear what he used to, you know,
For the first game
get it
against
running.
Philadelphia.
Like for example, the indicators and stuff that he uses is open source, right? It's just that he's coded it based on that simple amplitude strategy. That amplitude strategy is already dependent on the indicator, right? So if we wanted to make any additions and things like that, we already have the robot, and we can just make sure everything matches one to one because I'm pretty sure he just, coded the two different indicators together. And then do I plan on doing the so what's your plan to scale the trading robot? You plan on having it as a software and a service. Uh so in the forest industry, people are cheap about robots and stuff like that. Like if you're, a lot of, for example, a lot of people in the like Western Hemisphere, and like they're not really about to pay like $1,000 or something. No, actually, the way I should say is somebody in India is about to pay like 300 to $1,000 for a robot, but someone in the USA or Europe might. But in the USA, there isn't a lot of forest traders and things like that. So I just plan on using it myself, and since I have the infrastructure already, I plan on offering services to people where I manage their account, I pass their account for them, so that they can make passive income. Because, for example, I have the truly automated system that, for example, even if I'm not looking at the chart on a 1 2 week basis, I know it still makes money. So if I'm able to actually trade some days with the robot, get out and profit whenever there's loss and stuff like that, it just makes the process easier, or the profitability process easier. And then, like I said too, there's some days that the frequency set goes for like 2 days, right? So I've made it so that, for example, one terminal, and then the way I can explain it is like this. And I explained it to you a little bit prior, saying that, for example, on this day, this took 2 trades. But if you go back and look, there's days where it only took one. The days that only took one, it meant that the other terminal also took a trade in that direction. So basically, in that point in time, you're just stacking trades. And if anything, another way to get yourself out of trouble is you, at the beginning of the day or when you're not actively looking at the computer, you go ahead and reduce your risk in the trade copier, right? You reduce your risk, you go ahead and take the loss. But when you're actually sitting there ready to trade at your screen, for the day, because there's only 1 or 2 directions or 1 or 2 trades you're going to get anyway, you can just literally amplify your trades through the trade copier. You can amplify your trades through the trade copier by a factor of 2. So if I'm running at a point 0.3 multiplier and I just took a loss, I could go in and set it to a 0.6 amplifier. I know psychologically in my head that whatever drawdown isn't gonna like break my account, you know. But the potential upside of me making my money back from the last trade, and the market trailing in that certain direction is great, right? And then I also have another terminal based on the same system that's gonna take a trailing trade. So I basically, you basically multiply your way out, and I think that's easier to do. So my end is pretty much trying to get out with the best execution. And like I said, I have this indicator right here, and it helps because it's based on kind of like the same conditions as the Renko candles. All these candles here were green, so it propagates as a blue candle. But as soon as there's a red candle, it gives you a red bar. Any red candle gives you a red bar. So that gives you kind of like a grace period to get out, to see what the market is doing, before it actually continues on a downtrend. Because, for example, here, let me see. For example, here, there was about, for example, there was like, let me see. There was 27, sheesh. It was actually 5 hours that you had to get out in profit or get out break even before it took a sell trade for the rest of the day. So it took that sell trade here, 1700, and it didn't bounce until 2100. So even if you got caught in a bad trade here, you had 30 minutes to get yourself situated, go through your trade multiplier, boost it, and then have 5 hours be in a profitable trade to get all your profit back and make profit for the day. And then from there, you can reduce it back to your original starting size and just stay cumulative. But actually, the robot has that feature automatically. The person who made the robot, he made it basically simple entries, simple coding and stuff like that. But where it potentially makes its money is when you compound the levels. So you can compound it to a level of 2, right? So for example, first trade will take 0.1 lot size, and if it closes profitable, the next lot size will be 0.2, and it will fluctuate between 0.1 and 0.2 because it has 2 compound levels. Now if I set it to a compound level of 4, it would go from 0.1 to 0.2 to 0.4 to 0.8, etc. And then basically you're just relying on the 50% win rate and getting out in profit. But that's also a lot more stress. So I just stack trades and stack it between 2, 3 different pairs that I know that are like volatile, big markets, people that are trading it every day. And that's it.
Slams it down. And the foul. Can't leave that man open. You're gonna pay for it. Let's roll. To Washington, where Jordan Poole dropped 45. He also dropped a nice dime for Sean Holmes. The hoop and the number 8. Koulibaly sees the dunk hanging in the air. And the young fella gets a post over Evan Mobley. Nation's capital. He makes his point. Number 7.
Oh, I didn't know that there was people selling subscriptions to the bots. So kind of on my Instagram, I promote it as a service and whatnot, but I don't actively go out the way to get customers and things just because I'm doing my own service and trying to make money my own self right now. But obviously, you can make money doing it as a service. I just don't take people's money without because I don't do the service while I'm still switching settings, I'm still testing things out and things like that. But it's like something I change up on a week by week basis. For example, now that the market is closed, I'll go do some testing and maybe I find that this settings with this frequency is better. Like it took me a while to get here, you know what I mean? So it's something I made that's the purpose of this Instagram page, and that's why it's trading related. That's why I plan on doing YouTube. That's how I plan on promoting it. Basically, on my weekends when I'm chilling like this, it could be trading Bitcoin, and we're just chilling, playing GTA, watching basketball and stuff like that. I'm not really too pressed about getting it out there as a service and things like that because one thing about my robot is you actually can't find it online, and actually can't find it online. You could find some YouTube videos about it, and that's from the person who developed it. But the person who developed it, he actually went ghost, maybe like a few months or like a year after releasing it, because that was actually like a Telegram, and he was offering support through Telegram, Instagram, and stuff like that. So I thought it was okay to, go away and do my own thing in terms of like school and business and stuff like that. When I came back to like try and install the robot or whenever I had any questions, he was completely gone. So either it means it's an unprofitable system or it means that he made money from it and went ghost. I don't know. But the dude, he was somebody who used to like publish on TradingView all the time and stuff like that. So I really do wonder sometimes what happened to the dude because he was a active person in the trading community. Before he made the trading box, he was just posting his trade ideas through TradingView. You know what I mean? Divergences, and teaching people how to trade. Really, he was an educational guy. That's how I originally met him, and then he kept on posting more videos, and eventually it seemed that he got into automating forex systems, and then he came out this forex system. So at that time I was a follower of him, but I wasn't necessarily taking his trades or following his trading style, but the system that he developed at the time, it made sense to me. And even now to this day, if you do some research about Renko, the Japanese candlesticks that's represented in these bars, it's kind of like a low-key secret system that most people don't use. Even if they do use it, they're not using it for as long as we're using it to develop systems for it, to trade with it, to guide the market, or trying to guide us through the market for like a few days at a time. Oh yeah, so yeah, definitely. Once I complete my testing and I get some nice results on my ends, I could just save those settings and definitely offer as a service. But yeah, I think that's also an advantage though, the fact that nobody can go out there and try and replicate my system and things like that. It kind of gives me the peace of mind to actually take my time with my system because I know there's not some like YouTuber or Miami scammer who's gonna scam people with it. You know what I mean? Because I believe that truly. I bought it for, I like to say, maybe like 500 pounds or something like that back in 2021, and I was back in college, so that was pricey for me. So even if I sell it for the same amount or I sell it more for 1,000 USD, I know that or it has the results to back it up. So I'm not too concerned. Oh yeah, yeah, and especially in this industry as well. It's very quick and easy to be labeled as a scammer. You have one big crybaby. So that's why another reason why I don't want to take people's money. I'd rather kind of do it a slower way, do the prop firm payout way. I have a, I was telling Brian, I have a mentor that like I don't pay him any money or things like that, but he's a valid trader. He trades based out of France. Even he trades big money. He's I think a few months ago he started trading a $500,000 account from somebody in Dubai and whatnot. And then the days that he does trades, he's making like $2,000 and $6,000 in 3 to 4 or 5 hours. And like I was explaining to Brian, he's based in France, and there's a time difference. So typically the London session starts at 3 a.m. He's By the time he's done trading, it's like probably like 5 a.m. our time. From 8 p.m. until from 8 p.m. into the next day, 5 a.m. He's probably made that $6,000. He doesn't worry about New York session at 8:30 a.m., the stock market opening at 9:30 a.m. and things like that. And historically, if you look at the market, that's where people lose their profits because it's typically New York session that brings in the volatility. Typically, New York session news and like White House news and things like that is what causes like a trend reversal. Or like typically whatever geopolitical event is going around at that time, like this week or every month or at the end of the months. There's always unemployment. There's always Fed talks. The Federal Reserve is always talking, or they're deciding on interest rates and stuff like that. And you'll notice that until that 8:30 a.m. until they release the announcement, the markets are basically just static, just waiting for that news. But as soon as that news hits at 8:30 a.m., you'll notice that it's going to go in a strong one is going to choose one direction and go strong for from 8:30 until like 11:30 until lunchtime basically. But the point of me just saying that is most people and most traders are done by the day by 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m. Yep, just have to be disciplined, and that's why I've gone ahead and made the lot sizes the same for all big markets. I've made it the same, or even I could do the calculation to do the equivalent, keep it the same, and I know that per what I'm trading, I know there's going to be one or two opportunities. So, you know, if one closes in loss, I know I could get out of break even somewhere. Or if I notice that I don't like the particular trade or I feel like I'm getting faked out, I can close it rather than take a bigger loss. Like you've seen some of them go down like $600 or whatever. But that's just because of the frequency. That's just because the amplitude that's needed to kind of be in the market until the trend is complete. If I had additional filters and like settings that I can filter on a robot, I would have like a fast entry, and then I would have a different amplitude as my exit. You know, but what I have right now is pretty static. That's really the only thing I would really add to it, though. I wouldn't add any other indicators or kind of like make the system more complex. Because even with the indicators I was looking at with Lux Algo, and they make free and premium indicators. All indicators or most indicators are like lagging indicators, so they don't really give a true picture of what's going on at the time. But these Renko bars or these Renko charts are pure price action charts, right? Because I explained that it only goes in the blue or red direction after it's went that amount of points or pips, right? So it's independent of time. Time doesn't have anything to do with it. If the market was going down before there was a news event and it stayed still until they announced it, it would still just be that one same bar.
Brooks has gone 6 of 15 from the floor in both games against Dallas this year, averaging 18 points in 2 games against the Mavs this season. Off the rim, no good for Christie.
More aggressive team that's been Houston because they're down so much. Trying to get themselves back on track.
Driving is Steven Adams. Going to Şengün. Şengün. Pirouettes, finishes. Timeout. Had the feel it was going to be a response from Houston here in the third quarter.
They're good basketball in spite of the football in that first half.
9-point game now with 8:10 left in the third.
Oh shoot, Lakers are playing. I'm tweaking. I'm tweaking. Sheesh. They putting a smackdown on them early, man. The Pacers.
America's #1 sports book.
A little stiff. Hey, you got a job interview?
I'm doing the FanDuel Kicking Destiny 3. I'm finally being bigger. I can always dream.